Hey, what's going on everybody? Justin here, and in this video I want to share 4 really long books that I'm excited to try to finish before the end of the year. I want you all to try to keep me accountable and everything on doing so. One is totally brand new, and it's kind of like the idea of this video sort of came from. As I'm just like, I can't even tell you how excited I am about it because it just came in today. It's super awesome. I'm going to share that one last, obviously, just to keep the suspense a tiny bit, as much as like BookTube could be suspenseful and everything. But I feel like with Historathon and Big Book Summer and everything, I've been definitely reading longer books. And a few of you have noticed on the left that in the comments as well, like noting that, and it is true. Last year, my average book length was around 290. The year before was 280, and I think since I've been recording books, the longest one, or the longest average book length over the course of like a whole year was, I think, 326 pages. This year is definitely going to be higher than that for sure. But I got 3 history books and 1 philosophy book. I guess I should not books. I've shared a few of them before briefly. One did have its own video, but like I said, I got one that's really long, but just looks super good. I can't wait till I get started with that one, but let's just go ahead and start with these 4. So first up, we have Revolutionary Spring, Europe Aflame and the Fight for a New World, 1848 to 1849 by Christopher Clark. Now, I read a really long book for March of the Mammoths on the long 19th century, so mostly on the 1800s, just as something different, as I don't read a lot, like kind of post-Renaissance era and everything. And this year I've been trying to fill in the gaps quite a bit, and that book just had tons of stuff on different figures, different events that I wanted to do more of a deep dive. And this is definitely a book to do a deep dive into. It's like 750-ish pages or so, covering just the years 1848 and 1849, where several dozen mostly European countries went into revolt or revolution or rioting, all kinds of different stuff, trying to either expand their government with like different like constitutions, things like that, overthrowing governments in some scenarios. Probably most notably, this was in France with Napoleon III. It kickstarted in Italy in January of 1848, but some other countries where big things happened. I think Denmark didn't lose its monarchy per se, but it was kind of pushed aside for like a more a people's government sort of thing. I guess that's why I want to read the book, so I can actually understand like more of the details instead of just kind of like the broad strokes and whatnot. But I know like other places like Austria and Hungary, serfdom, I think, was outlawed or abolished or something like that. So like I said, I just want to do a giant deep dive on just kind of all these revolutions, what they actually accomplished, what they didn't accomplish, kind of like, what is like, stuck down to like our time and age and everything, based on like kind of what happened during these 2 years. And like I said, I just feel like I should know a lot more about it, which is why I'm excited to do a giant deep dive on a bunch of revolutions. Next up is a buddy read that I'm doing for Historathon for Q3, which is all about the years 1500 to 1820, and I somehow got suckered into a giant buddy read of The Enlightenment, The Pursuit of Happiness, 1680 to 1790 by Richie Robertson. I did have a video fairly recently on this one. This is like a time period that I would say probably 1550, so we're talking Reformation era, from Reformation era to about 1750, I'd say that was like 2 centuries. Or I wouldn't say like completely blank in my knowledge base per se, but just the absolute bare bones framework that I've kind of picked up just from like other stuff. And let me tell you, this is filling in a lot of the gaps. I'm about 40% of the way through the book at the moment. But yeah, we've been like kind of talking back and forth on different things that we've liked, didn't like, everything like that. And overall, the majority of the chapters I've been really enjoying, particularly the second chapter on the scientific revolution. Just tons of stuff for me to kind of do this is another one of those books where I'm just trying to figure out different topics and people to do deep dives on. For example, Denis Diderot. I need to find a biography of him, so if you got a link a recommendation for Diderot or anything, let me know for sure. I kind of always had him pegged just as like, the encyclopedia guy, but he was definitely just super prominent, had like so many connections, was just like almost like a central like networking hub, I guess, of like Enlightenment thinking and everything. So I'm definitely going to pick up a book either on the encyclopedia that he edited over like 20 years and stuff, partly underground and everything when it was like censored and blacklisted and everything like that. But yeah, just tons of different topics. A few of the parts I'm not like super as keen on like all the different religious sects that were kind of like splintering off and kind of their disagreements and stuff. The big kind of thrust of the Enlightenment era though is it's not like a lot of times I think people kind of think of it's very cold and calculating, right? It's just, you know, anti-religious, all just like mathematical science stuff. But this book is definitely showing otherwise on how that was not really the case. The main thrust of the Enlightenment basically is just actually religious tolerance and like kind of personal freedom and individual liberties and kind of expanding that to as many people as possible. But I feel like I am learning a lot for sure. Like I said, this is going to be one I'm going to write down like a dozen concepts or topics or people to like read biographies and other books on and stuff because of this one. So I've definitely been enjoying it for sure. Now, kind of to go along with that, if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe and stuff. But if you want to really support the channel, definitely check out my Etsy shop. This is from the Enlightenment Saper Ade, which was kind of like the loose motto of Enlightenment thinkers, and it means dare to know. But even just like liking the listings and stuff really helps in that Etsy algorithm and stuff. So I definitely appreciate it if you guys went and did that for sure. Now onto the philosophy book is one I've mentioned a little bit before. It's The History of Philosophy by A.C. Grayling. And he's a pretty prominent modern day philosopher that's written actually quite a few works on popular philosophy for regular people to be able to read and stuff. And I haven't read a just comprehensive history of philosophy in 5, 6, 7 years. I think I read the Durant Story of Philosophy quite a while ago, and even though I did like it, they weren't like philosophers per se, so they kind of just do like kind of a, I wouldn't say glossing over, wouldn't probably be the right word, but they can't really dig into like a lot of the stuff. Plus, I think that was written in like the 30s, I want to say 20s or 30s, something like that, whereas this is going to be pretty up to date. Plus, Grayling, from what I've been told, definitely covers some Eastern philosophical like schools of thought and branches and everything, which in a lot of these kind of overviews pretty much get relegated to obscurity and nothingness if they're included at all. So it's something I almost know nothing about, so I kind of want just a nice kind of starting point to kind of build a framework of on like a knowledge base and everything. And I've been doing a philosophy Discord. I'll leave a link to that down below, where we got just different discussions on different things that we're reading that are philosophy based, and we usually have like a group read each month and stuff like that, whereas next month is going to be Descartes, if anyone is interested in that. And a few of them recommended this book, or said they, you know, they enjoyed and felt like they got a lot out of it. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of going with this one. I'm not 100, I think this one's about 600 pages if I remember, so it's definitely a pretty big thing on a pretty big book on like a pretty dense topic. So it's going to be interesting to see like how deep he goes with each thinker in each era and stuff, just because there is a lot of ground to cover, and 600 pages sounds like a lot, and it kind of is when you do the philosophy and stuff, but in some ways it almost feels like not quite enough. Like I have Frederick Copleston's history, which is like 12 like 300 page volumes or something, like 250 page volumes, something like that. I haven't read that one through. I kind of just dip in and out of that one as needed, but like I said, I've heard really great things about it. It's got really great reviews, and like I said, some personal friends and stuff have recommended it, so I have no doubt that it will be good as well. Now lastly, to the one that kind of inspired this one is I just received this in the mail from Princeton University Press, so thank you so much for that. And it is Polis, A New History of the Ancient Greek City-State from the Early Iron Age to the End of Antiquity by John Ma. So thank you so much to them. Like, first of all, just a look at this like book. It just like looks so good, so clean. Oh man, like for those who don't know, like classical history is definitely my favorite, but Greek history is probably like my favorite. Like I'd say 9 times out of 10 if you ask me that on any given day. Ancient Greek history is just my favorite topic to read about in pretty much any way, shape, or form. Like I'm currently reading 2 books on the Ancient Greek Olympics to kind of coincide with the Paris Olympics that are about to start and stuff. But yeah, the whole, I guess, thrust of this book is sort of first of all, how did the city-state, sort of the polis, kind of come to be? How did it evolve from previous kind of I guess political forms and that sort of thing in kind of the dark ages of Greece? What were kind of the goals that it accomplished? Like what needs did it answer? but then also how did it survive throughout the classical period. And a big part of this book is the idea that it didn't, like a lot of times you kind of read about the polis and how like if different empires, for example, you know, the Persian Empire, like kind of in Asia Minor and stuff like that, then the, you know, Alexander's kind of Macedonian overlordship, I suppose you'd say, and then imperial rule under the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire. A lot of people kind of write off the polis as like basically not functioning at that point. And Jonathan Ma's, I guess John Ma, I don't know, I said Jonathan there. His whole argument is that the polis was still a functional political unit, and was almost like a fundamental, like I said, like political unit that individuals still adhered to. I don't know what I was going with subscribe to, even throughout the Imperial Roman era. So really the history of the polis is really, you know, kind of from the Dark Ages, you know, 800, 700, 600s for a lot of them, BCE, all the way down to essentially kind of the almost like the Tetrarchy, like, you know, in the 300 CE, something like that, when imperial rule was starting to kind of change over to like the Dominate and things like that. So it's going to be really cool, kind of just like reading a giant history of the whole, like I said, the whole like kind of almost like millennia history of the polis, rather than sort of just like kind of the golden era that you always read about in like the 400s, with like Athens and Sparta in between, you know, the Greco-Persian Wars and the Peloponnesian War. That's like 90% of the time like kind of what you're reading about when you're reading about ancient Greek history and stuff. So like I said, it just looks super good, super detailed. I think this one's about, it looks about, let's see, 554 pages of text, and then about 100 page, maybe not 100, well, about what do we got here, 60 pages or so of notes, and then a giant bibliography that I can't wait to just like kind of tear through as well, like as I read it. Like I said, just it looks really great. I don't know, like I don't know, you don't see a ton of like just really awesome just don't see tons of really awesome like Greek history books like coming out all the time. And I'm hoping this is going to be like a new like standard in the field on something like this. Plus, like on the shelf, it's just going to look so nice. Not that that's like the main thing, but still, like, it's just like overall, I'm just really impressed with it. I've read the first 10 pages or so far, and I've enjoyed it. Don't know if 10 pages is enough to really give like a whole impression of polis and everything. But like I said, just really excited to get going. So there you have it. Those are 4 books. I hope I sold you on polis there. I feel like I'm smiling a lot because like my face feels funny. But anyways, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know some big books that you're excited to get to in the near future, hopefully before the end of the year. And whether you're reading giant books or not, always remember, read victoriously.